Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk to someone who is a walking, living miracle, turning adversity into an advantage and the journey getting your life back. With us right now, we have Ethan Vaughn. Thank you for being with us, Ethan.
I appreciate you welcoming me here on your show. I appreciate being here again. But of course, you get to dive in deep on me.
That's right, we do. And people who've been watching the station know you because of the shows that you've been doing yourself. You've been an intern here at the station, but you've also done some wonderful things. One of those being graduating, as you can see, from Millersville University. And what do you have your degree in?
Bachelor of Science. My major was speech communication. Minor was broadcasting and media.
Yeah. And you also went to HAC prior to that, is that correct?
Yes, HAC is Harrisburg Area Community College. And that was a wonderful experience. It allowed me to save a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, you have done so much with your life, but the fact that you really are a walking, living miracle is because you were in an accident. What year was that, Ethan?
March 2011.
Okay. And this was a car accident. And I think when you and I were talking, they said you had, what, a 1% chance?
Yes.
Of survival?
1% chance of living versus a 99% chance of death. I wasn't supposed to make it, but here I am.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about that background if you can. What happened to you?
Just to make everything real brief, I was at Media Heights Golf Tournament, was raising money for the foundation, Jordan Steffi Atalo program with See Expectations. And then I left with my aunt, her fiance, and my two cousins. And the last thing I remember seeing was the Hess gas station. And next thing you know, I wake up in the ICU unit and no one was telling me anything. Then eventually I ended up getting put on a feeding tube, which caused a delay. Then I ended up doing rehabilitation at Lancaster Rehab. And then once I started eating again, there was a miraculous turnaround.
Wow. There was a lot that you had to go through. How did you feel in the process, Ethan? I know you're a very positive person now, which is great, but I'm sure you went through a lot. Tell us a little bit about that.
I don't wish that on nobody, of going through being on a feeding tube, losing all that weight, injuries, and going through multiple surgeries. It's just an experience that some people are not being willing to talk about, as far as being that vulnerable and showing such humility. But I've been able to turn that around into inspiration. I remember, like, it was yesterday when I went to my job with the Squish Lancaster after the school sports program. I basically was approached by these student athletes, and they were asking me, "Is this you from the car accident?" Because kids now have access to internet and cell phones, and they can research people more often. And I realized this is going to be uncomfortable for me. Then I started talking to my bosses about it, and they told me, "Ethan, your inspiration. You got to live with this for the rest of your life." And I realized I had to do something about it.
I think, too, what you show us that, wow, if I can survive that, get through that, I can deal with a lot of other issues that life throws my way. Is that right?
Yes, because you can be the victim or be the victor. I chose to be the victor. And it's just a process of changing the mind, being able to identify and face the music of everything. And I had to face the music of a loss of a uncle, a loss of a cousin, and, a death that was prevented.
How old were you then?
I believe I was 23.
Okay, so you were young, yeah, and dealt with that too. You have now been doing some motivational speaking. How did that start?
It started with a former student athlete named Andrew Williams, who went to Lancaster Country Day. He told me his teacher was looking for somebody who can do speaking on poetry. I went in for the interview, got approved. A couple days later, I'm in there speaking, engaged in the class with the poetry, allowed them to write their own words, tell their own story, and tell them you have a voice that truly matters. And that's when I knew I could be a motivational speaker.
So tell us a little bit more about your poetry.
I dived deep into it. It started in 2005 when I started writing, because music was going through a transition where it was just sounding the same. And I just thought, You gotta be more open-minded. And when I start writing my own words and start being original, then I realize I have something, I have that niche. And every year it just got better and better and better. Now I just becoming proficient at it. And then in 2010, I started speaking. The first speaking engagement was at a baby shower. And next thing you know, I ended up opening up for a guy who used to be signed by Def Jam. His name is Black Ice, a.k.a. Lamar Manson. And then I ended up speaking at a Puerto Rican parade, downtown Lancaster, Millersville University, Franklin Marshall, Philadelphia, New York, and several other places.
So all of these opportunities just seem like they start to present themselves. Is that what happens?
Yes, I mean, it does take networking. It does take community involvement. And at the same time, it's not just me doing the speaking. Someone's got to organize. Someone's got to make the flyer and handle the business side of everything, whether that involves money or if it's just more of a charity base.
Right. So you inspire other individuals from all different age groups and backgrounds. Is that right, Ethan?
Yes. First it started with student athletes and then eventually local leaders, then business owners, then sponsors and donors for the Atalo program. And they've been amazed because no one saw this coming.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember being at the Mia Heights golf tournament again. I was really underweight, and Jordan called me up, and I was like, "What's he got to do?" I don't remember exactly what he said, the whole speech. I just remember the key part where he said was, "Ethan's gonna have a college degree," and I didn't disappoint him. Though I ended up having 2 degrees, one from Harrisburg Area Community College, and of course Millersville University, and that really stuck with me for a long time. And you know, it's one of those situations where he had a power of prayer moment. Mm-hmm. Where he saw lights coming at traction. He saw better days ahead for me. Then I saw better days ahead for myself.
Right. And you started believing, right?
Yes. It took time to believe it because it's just when you fall down that far and then climb your way back up that ladder, things become more challenging. But you have to believe in yourself and surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah, you really do. And when I look at you and we look at some of your interviews, which we can find here on the station at LCTV, also up on our YouTube channel, and you also have a YouTube channel too, right? Do. Tell us what's on there.
Well, it started with just posting my baptism on there. Then it evolved to the poetry speaking, and then LCTV interviews. Mm-hmm. You know, I like to thank Frank Alderford for allowing me to publish it on there.
Yeah.
And then the interviews grew, and then recently I've been posting more of my special moments for us, making the toast with the sparkling apple cider several times with people for graduating college, and also other small monuments where I put in the application for graduation. I told Jordan the great news of here's the college degree. And then there's also where I made the dean's list for Atalo. I got the Atalo hoodie and a message from the staff, and many other special moments as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of special moments, and what we're going to do is talk more about those moments and other things and conquering some of these fears, but we're going to take a short pause and a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. LCTV 66 is your community channel, and your donations keep us on the air and help to produce more local programs. Send your tax-deductible donation of $500, $100, or more to the address on the screen. Or think of it this way, for the price of a couple of movie tickets, you can help support your community channel. Send what you can and be a part of all that is good about Lancaster County. Thank you for your tax-deductible donation to LCTV 66, Lancaster's Connection. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We are talking to Ethan Vaughn, who is, as you've seen in the first segment, he is a walking, living miracle, and he is an inspiration to us as well. Ethan, when you talk about some of these challenges that you've had, I know there have been fears, but there are times I see you and you seem fearless to me. Do you feel that way?
I do, because I looked at the definition of fear as maybe it's something that's trying to hold you back from moving forward, or maybe it's a false reality appearing real. We have to be able to identify our sixth sense where you had to get out of danger versus you got to have the courage to face things. And that's what I did with the help of Teen Haven Ministries, In the Light Ministry, and of course a Talo program, and other people who did things more in the background will help me get my driver's license, eventually re-enrolling back into HAC. And it's just all these little steps build up to monumental feats.
Yeah.
And I can say I turned my adversity into an advantage because I'm not on no drugs or alcoholism or serious addictions. It's just I get to speak about it, but I never intended on speaking about it publicly. But I realized after having conversations with different people, I need to put a voice behind my anniversaries.
Mm-hmm. It's such a journey and such a process what you've gone through, and we're talking about the conquering of fear. What would you say to people if they wanted to know how do you get up the courage to maybe ask for something that you're afraid? Is it the fact that you've got nothing to lose, may as well ask?
I would say you have to look at the whole truth and what is it you need to conquer or achieve. And also you have to remember, what is your purpose in life? Overcoming this fear, part of your purpose. Because I've seen plenty of people who have definitely become overachievers, icons, but still remain humbled. And I've seen some people who unfortunately allow their fear to become their crutch, and then they end up becoming a garden that's filled with weeds where their growth has become hindered. But each one of us has work to do on an individual level. I remember when I read this book about marriages, and it's the little conversations that we have with ourselves and with other people that make a difference moving forward. Because you have to identify, was that situation real, or was it just miscommunication? But eventually, you have to look at the whole truth and face the music wholeheartedly. Because in marriage, as it is with friendship, you gotta be able to trust yourself and be willing to confront your wounds, scars, and start to heal. That way, you don't become a victim. Instead, you become a victor.
Yeah, that's right. So what would you say is your purpose in life, Ethan?
I would say, growing up, I thought it was just being a student athlete. But when I look at other people, I realize there's life outside of sports. Mm-hmm. I could say in today's world is me being looked up by community members, the kids. And some of those kids remind me of myself, growing up in single-parent households and having several siblings. But as far as my purpose goes, I feel like I am living my purpose. I was supposed to graduate college. I was supposed to break the cycle in several areas of my personal life, but also continue to follow the right path and learn when to keep moving forward and start fresh when you outgrow a certain time period or chapter of your life.
And you're a good example for people to watch what you have overcome and what you're accomplishing as well. So what is the next chapter for you, Ethan?
Well, since I graduated from Millersville University, the next chapter is to work on daytime TV, whether it's production assistant, sports anchor, producer, maybe do some radio, and of course motivational speaking. But I realized I have to create my own brand and of course have liability insurance.
Right. I seem to think that you are open to whatever crosses your path as a possible opportunity. Would that be accurate?
Yes, because I usually work for the school district Lancaster after school sports program, and also assistant with the teachers, the playground, and the cafeteria.
Right.
And those are building moments for me, for the resume, but also having made an impact on children's life. That when I see them at Walmart, they start tugging me by here, and then I'm like, oh, I've seen you before. And the next thing the parents are wondering who am I, and I got to explain myself, who I am and everything. And then next time I see the parent, they're more welcoming and having a nice conversation with me.
Yeah. So for your background, too, we talked about the degrees you have, but you went to McCaskey High School. You graduated from McCaskey. You're originally from Coatesville, but moved to Lancaster, right?
Yes.
And we look at those experiences and, who you've become. There's so much growth that you have shown us. what is really key to this? It is being open to it, right? And going for it, taking that next step. Is that accurate, Ethan?
I believe it is. I mean, when that move was made, I was in 8th grade. I just came off 2 successful sports, wrestling and football. We were the undefeated champs. Most of us were projected to be starting varsity or in high school. But unfortunately, when the decision was made to move, I didn't really like it, but it happened. And I ended up meeting new coaches, Matt Ortega, Dr. Todd Milley, George Savinsky, Chris Booth, Mr. Camaro, and of course, Mr. Damian Henry. And along the way, when I transitioned from Gordon Middle School to Wheatland, it was just the reset button started. And, you know, usually when I was in Coatesville, all I had to do was walk to the middle school. But I ended up going to Wheatland, I had to take a bus there. Mm-hmm. And everything looked new. And the teachers were very welcoming of me, students as well. Then when I get to the high school, the campus was different. And I was pretty much a small fish in a big pond.
So you had to learn from that. What I hear you saying, and I think you'll probably agree, it's really important to cultivate good relationships with people, right?
Yes.
Because it serves everybody well to get to know each other and to have relationships that lift you up. Tell me a little bit more about that, because you've interviewed some great people for that, right?
Yes, I interviewed Dr. Todd Milley. He used to be my football coach, and this was before he got his doctorate degree. You know, being on the sideline, being in practice, and being in the weight room around him. You know, I didn't know he was going to college at the same time and taking those night classes for his master's degree. And, you know, there was times he gave me a ride home, you know, out of generosity. Then I remember there was Coach Troy Richardson. He was my football coach, wrestling coach. And there was times where it was snowing outside, and he took me home because he didn't want to see me walking in that snow, because he knows he used to be a student athlete and someone paid it forward for him. So he was deciding to pay it forward for me, and we still keep that positive relationship now. But having those relationships with my coaches were very instrumental in my life, because I didn't have a father figure inside my household, because my parents, you know, had me, but they weren't together. And I learned in life that you can make it in this world without your biological father. And it's not that you become a victim. It's just some things, you know, some people have children unplanned, but a child still has a purpose in life. Absolutely. And I'm glad I, you know, been able to fulfill that, but also being around coaches that were able to show me these life skills and many other things. And by having those relationships now that have become an adult, I was able to interview Matt Ortega and his whole family. He walked me into his house. We caught up. We got the interviews. And he likes how much progress I made in my life, because he saw me as a freshman to the grown man I am now, and he's very, you know, truly impressed. Same thing with Coach Damian Henry. You know, when I graduated from Millersville University, mailed me a Wawa gift card and a graduation card. He was so proud of me.
Yeah, well, you have really progressed and have done a lot so far with your life. We're looking forward to where you go from here as well. But you also are an inspiration and a role model for a lot of other people too. We thank you for being here, Ethan, and thank you for sharing your story, because you are a walking, living miracle, and you have shown us that journey from adversity to making it into an advantage. Wish you much luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here, Ethan, and thanks for what you've been doing for the station too.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because the station was able to allow me to get 9 college credits here.
There you go.
So that contributed towards the success and also graduating.
Yeah. So I guess we can also plug, if you want to intern at the station, reach out to us here at LCTV 66. Thank you once again, Ethan, for what you've done for us and continued success. We'd like to say thank you for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, reminding you to look behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.